Yeah, I just couldn't ask for a more beautiful evening for a garden walk and talk. And greetings, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. And it's been a little while since I've done a video, but I know there's some of you out there that are kind of curious to know how I'm doing and what I'm doing. So for those of you out there that fall under that category, I'll kind of give you a little bit of an update, an evening walk and talk. And we'll start with this bed right here. This is my, well, it looks like a mess right now, but this is my flower bed. And boy, give it a little bit of time and this is going to be beautiful. I planted these climbing roses last year, and from people that I've talked to that know a little bit about roses, they're doing exceptionally well. And I'm hoping that I'm going to grow them up and over the roof, so people from the street will be able to see these roses. And I'm using zip ties to kind of zip tie them to the lattice. But boy, there's no shortage of buds on here getting ready to bloom. Oh boy, look at all of those. If you can see them, look at all those buds. There is just no shortage of buds all over this plant. And then these are, I don't know what they call them, ranunculus or something like that. A friend of mine planted all of these in here. And there's just different stuff growing on. This is the mystery plant right there. That came up from last year, and I think it's like a green onion or something. I think that's what it is. I think it's a green onion, and these are just some leftover onions that I planted, and I'll use those kind of like as green onions. But the rest of this bed, I've got a few carrots growing in here. The rest of the bed is just going crazy. Over here I have some beautiful thyme growing. Ooh boy, that smells good. And then we've got some rosemary. This is just, oh boy, that smells good also. So this is the flower bed, if you will. And then you come over here and this, oh God, this is, you've heard the expression, bit off more than you can chew. Well, this is my little project. I excavated. I want to put in a beautiful flagstone patio. And maybe put some nice seating, around the border or something. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I took it upon myself to excavate this. And I gotta tell you, it was a job. That's about 10 inches deep down there. And the boards, you can see the long board going across, and there's another board down here. I'm going to build a frame and then bring in the base, the rock material, but all that type of stuff. But what a job. That was just an incredible job. I'll give you a view of the shed right there, and you can see where the roses would go right up across the top there. Another job that I did a couple weeks ago was I redid the entire irrigation in this backyard. And that in and by itself, you see the flags right there. There was a sprinkler head there. There was a sprinkler head there. But when they put in the sprinkler system, this garden wasn't here. The garden wasn't here, so this yellow flag right here was a sprinkler that was, well, halfway from the fence over to the perimeter over there. So now with the garden there, it wasn't working out. So boy, you talk about work. It was a lot of work. I put in a new head. It's basically 6 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it works beautiful. Oh, it just works absolutely beautiful. So continuing on with the garden walk and talk. This bed here is going to be, I'm hoping this bed here is going to be one of my favorites. I allocated this bed for cantaloupe. Not just any cantaloupe, but the type of cantaloupe that grows easily on a trellis. Little mini cantaloupes. One is called the sugar cube, and the other is called the Minnesota midget. And those plants, I transplanted everything here. I think it was last week. And just look how beautiful. Will you look at that? That's a sugar cube right there. And you can see it's already clinging. It's already clinging to the fence there and over there. So there is just going to be a sea of cantaloupe going up this 6-foot trellis. It's going to be beautiful. It really is. And then I snuck in a spaghetti squash right over here. So there's a nice spaghetti squash growing, and then I have a hodgepodge of different flowers that are growing in here. But down along the front row here, I've got all my peppers. No shortage of peppers. And peppers can grow pretty well successfully in buckets. So right now I've got the majority of these planted in buckets, but I've got a Cubanelle, I have an Anaheim, I have several Poblanos. This right here is actually horseradish. That's horseradish. That started coming up from last year. And then more Poblano, and I've got several Hungarian hot wax right there. But I've got several jalapeno plants. I have a yellow bell pepper, a red bell pepper, a black bell pepper, a green bell pepper. You see? And then right here, you can see my little jalapeno growing right there. So that's my first jalapeno. And this bed is also kind of a mess, but it's growing quite well. Look at this. I've got carrots. These are Imperator carrots that are growing. So these carrots are just knocking it out of the park. The carrots are doing really, really well. And then in the back, interestingly enough, I've got more carrots. A guy can never have enough carrots. I put in a pumpkin right there, a mini pumpkin, like a pie pumpkin. And that's going to grow up. I'm going to train that up to 6-foot trellis as well. And look at this, my asparagus. You see, I'm growing this. This actually kind of looks like dill, if you will. But that is actually asparagus. And I planted the asparagus, and you're not supposed to harvest it for 2 years. So look at that. There is, if you can see it, there is an asparagus coming up. Isn't that something? That's a stalk. But, and then interestingly enough, I've had these little things sneaking in. Look at this. Well, they're not little by any stretch of the imagination. These mushrooms, I didn't plant these, you see. Look at that. Look at that mushroom. If only I could eat them. I don't know, maybe I could, you know, but those mushrooms grow in here, and they just kind of disrupt everything that I've got planted. But and then my peas, you see my peas are doing really well, and they're clinging onto the fence. So the peas are doing well. And then you come over here, look at those cages. Those are 8 feet, I think, something like that. 8 feet cages. And I've got everything going. You see, you know what I'm really anxious about? Here's my clematis. Look at that. It's just overgrowing the cattle panel there. So my clematis is growing. I've got all types of beautiful flowers ready to bloom. Here's my my cabbage. Cabbage is doing, I don't know about this. You see, it's supposed to form a nice little a nice little head in there somewhere. So we will see, as the saying goes. But you know, this right here is almost my pride and joy. I've struggled over the years growing garlic and onions. And I planted this garlic last October. And just look at it. It is, oh, I'm hoping that I get a blue ribbon for my garlic this year. This garlic in the back here, the real tall garlic, that's called Music, M-U-S-I-C. It's an Italian garlic. But you can see the top of the leaves here are turning golden brown, or turning brown. And apparently when about half of that leaf is brown, it's time to harvest the garlic. But boy, the stalks are just really, really beautiful. And then of course I've got some more carrots. Every now and then I come across something like this, and I have no idea, you know, what that is. It looks like marijuana, but I don't know what that is. So we'll take that out. But I've got carrots growing in here. Beautiful carrots. I probably should plant some more carrots right down these other rows here, so that I'll have those late summer. Over here I planted beets. So I said I was going to scale back this year, and from the talk, you know, from the looks of it, it probably looks like I'm, you know, doing anything but. But these are my onions, and these are doing well. You see, I've got 2 rows of Walla Walla, which will get really big yellow onions, good for onion rings and stuff. Then I have 2 rows of red onions. And then I have 2 rows of white onions growing over there. But that's all, you know. And then this is my favorite lettuce right there. It's the butter crunch. Oh, I love fresh butter crunch from the garden. And this is my beefsteak tomato. That's my beefsteak. It's doing beautiful. You know, I go to the store and I look at, oh, look at that. I even have a tomato growing on that. You see? They're already growing. I don't know which one this is. This is a Rosso. That's a Rosso Sicilian. Those tomatoes are good for some sauce. So that's the Rosso Sicilian. But now the beefsteak is doing great. This right here is my pineapple. It's not a pineapple like Paul Crowley would be growing. No, this is the pineapple tomato. And the tomato will get to be about 2 pounds. That'll be a big tomato. Good for slicing and what have you. And the beefsteak. And then over here, look at my eggplants. So I have two Black Beauty eggplants. Those are the ones in the back. And then here, this is a eggplant snowy. This is kind of like a white eggplant, and that's a long survival eggplant right there. And here, this you know, I've got more peas. Beautiful blossoms. You see, look at all the beautiful blossoms that are growing on it. So that's just beautiful. I love coming out here at night. I love coming out here in the morning. I love coming out of here, period. And just seeing what's growing on. But here are my strawberries. This is my strawberry patch. And these will give me strawberries twice during the year. They'll give me strawberries here in another few weeks. And then they'll give me strawberries again toward the end of the summer. And I planted some garlic also in with that. And coming back over here, I've got that's another clematis that's growing up. Here's another tomato. This is the flame tomato, like, you know, light my flame. This is a flame tomato, and it's got like a marbling of yellow and red, and it's a big tomato also. That's the big beefsteak. But here's a couple pepper plants. That's my red bell and my chocolate. You see? So that's doing really, really well. I think it was Erica over in Washington that sent me a message that she really liked the garden this year. This is interesting. These are my potatoes. These are my spuds. These are my red potatoes. You know, that you might boil or what have you. Look at these. And they have the most beautiful blossoms. Potato plants are just beautiful. You see how big that is? I don't know what, oh boy, look at all that. So when I'm ready to harvest this, I'm just going to slide this little front panel off and start digging in and grabbing my potatoes. Over here I have some Swiss chard going. Here's my baby romaine. Got the baby romaine growing. That's wonderful. And I have some acorn squash. I got a big squash plant there and another one there. Those are going to be huge. Acorn squash. And these are, you know, interestingly enough, if I'm really curious about anything growing here in the garden, it's going to be these. These are my parsnips. Look at how beautiful. And see, those are my parsnips that are growing. And then over here I've got, oh, this lettuce has just about seen its better days. Well, not necessarily. That looks pretty good, to be honest with you. I'll probably call up my neighbor David, who's about 85 years old, and I'll say, come on over and get some lettuce. And then here is some red romaine. Look at this. You see? I've got some beautiful red romaine growing in there. These are more potatoes. These are my white potatoes right there. So those are my white potatoes, and I got some more lettuce growing right over there. So, and this right here is, I want to say this is lavender. That's what this plant is. That plant is beautiful lavender. It gets some beautiful flowers, and oh boy, it just smells wonderful. And then here's another view of the garlic. Look at that. And then what I decided to do was I decided that I was going to utilize this space over here. Ultimately, I'm going to put a beautiful trellis right on that wall between the 2-bedroom windows and have flowers growing up there, and the fragrance of the flowers will put me to sleep at night and wake me up in the morning. But here I've got, these are my blueberries. So I got my blueberries planted. More tomatoes. A guy can never have enough tomatoes. You know, Tomo's tomatoes. But over here I have that's going to be a Golden Jubilee. These are all indeterminate tomatoes. They'll produce fruit all year long or all summer long. And they'll grow. You know, they'll grow up, you know, several feet. So I have a Cherokee tomato there. That should be my Black Crim, which is great for BLTs. So I've got the Black Crim and the Golden Jubilee. And over here, I've got a couple squash. These are buttercup. That's a buttercup squash. And this is the butternut squash right there. So that's those are going on. And if I just peek out this gate right here, look at my lawn. Oh boy, a lot of work. But it looks good. My lawn is the envy of the neighborhood, if only in my own mind. But over here, this was a job from, oh, you wouldn't believe. Those 2 boxes used to be one big box, and it was up against the house, over by the drain. It was a big box right there, and I want to put a trellis right there. You see, I want people to round the corner coming into the neighborhood. And I want them to see a beautiful wall of flowers right there on the wall. Look at that. Beware of dog. Beware of dog Penelope. She'll lick you to death. but anyway, and then to share the next thing that I'm doing. I actually did it today. When I bought this property, the property had 8 irrigation zones. It had four zones out front for the front and the curb and all that stuff. This was 5, and then it had 2 zones for this back area here, and it had the 8th zone, which was the drip system. But I noticed that there were a couple extra wires. And I realized that those wires could be added. I could add valves. So back here in the corner, I tied into the existing irrigation system, and I did this last autumn, and I put 2 valves back in the corner. And today I was looking at this, and I thought that's a perfect spot for a greenhouse. Right there, because I want to kind of obstruct the fences. You see, you come out here in the backyard, and it's okay. You're just looking down the row of my neighbor's fences, or backyards rather. And I thought, a beautiful greenhouse right there. It would be facing, that's due west, so behind me is east, and that would be a great spot for a greenhouse. So maybe I'll do that. But today, or the other day, I just amended all of this bed. I tilled it, worked all day on it, brought in soil, did all that type of stuff. And this one, I want this to be my English garden. Eventually this is going to be my English garden. I'm just going to fill it with just beautiful flowers all through here. Maybe I'll do that in the next few weeks. But anyway, right now, these are some called Black Eye Susans. These are going to give me beautiful little, they look like little mini sunflowers. And those will blossom all summer long, and they come back every year. I bought these 2 plants last year, and I can't remember what they are, but I remember they're not only beautiful, but they're fragrant. And then look at these. These are my perennials. You cut these right down to the ground every autumn. And look how they come back. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Just gorgeous. And then this one here is a similar variety. You see? It's just gorgeous. I don't know the names of them. And here are some more, you guessed it, tomatoes. So I wanted to plant, I didn't plant it last year. I planted it the first year, but I didn't plant corn last year. And I wanted to plant corn. So I thought, what? This little corner right here would be beautiful for corn. So I planted very meticulously 36 stalks of corn today. 36 plants. And they should come up in about 7 days. And you see I put in the drip system. So that's the new line right there for the drip system. All of this is canal water. This water comes out of the mountains into reservoirs. And then they have big dams, and then they release the dams into these canals. And the canals come down, and neighborhoods use the canal water for irrigation, and farmers use it, and what have you. But it's part of my homeowner dues. So I pay for the homeowner due, and it includes my water. Little do they know that I got a little farm going on back here. You see? So this is going to be corn. Isn't that something? And here's the, you see the green pipe? That's going to be another valve. So I've got no shortage of water. Just absolutely beautiful. And here's a, well, this is just a mess. This is all my work. I'll get up and I come out of the house as soon as the sun's up at 6:30 in the morning. And I'll work sometimes right up till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. It's really something else. So, all right, folks. I hope you enjoyed the walk and talk, and have a great evening.